Swiss psychologist Carl Jung said, "What irritates us most about other people can lead us to a greater understanding of ourselves." Hi, it's Ollie from Icario. 8 months ago, I lived alone. I lived alone and I absolutely loved it. I've kind of lived in a bunch of different places. I've lived with a bunch of different people, house shares, hostels, that sort of thing. But always, no matter what, always would be the case that I would be irritated by some people in the house. I would struggle to get along with certain people. I would have different standards of cleanliness to other people. There'd be certain people in the house that would irritate me. I'd feel in my own place of where I lived, I'd feel very antisocial a lot of the time. And after last time, I said, fuck it. I'm not gonna live with anyone else ever again. I actually made a solid declaration. I said, I will never live with other people ever again, other than like a romantic partner or something like that. So I moved into my own place. It was my kingdom. It was fantastic. I furnished the place and everything. I personalized it. I absolutely adored living alone. Everything was as clean as I wanted it. I could cook when I wanted. When I left something, it was in exactly the same place that I left it. It was absolutely wonderful. But then I received an offer from Shane Malach of Thrive Themes to come to Lisbon and work with him on an apprenticeship. And it would be living with other people. Now, suffice it to say, I wasn't entirely overjoyed with the idea, with the prospect of living with other people again. But not to let an opportunity pass me by, I decided to say yes, I accepted, and I was just going to take it as it came. So a few months later, I was living in Lisbon, working with Shane, and I was living with Jonas, a German filmmaker.
Are you talking to me?
And Ryan, a Canadian entrepreneur. And initially things were going pretty well, but over time, little things just started to build up. Like I'd see a dirty plate here, or there'd be a bit of noise here, or I'd have a dodgy night's sleep here, or whatever. Usually pretty petty things, but they started to just build up and build up and build up. And over time, I found myself not only just disliking the little petty stuff, but also I started to have really negative thoughts about these people. For who they were. My mind started to come up with a lot of deep resentments and judgments, and I started to emotionally just shut down and close off and socially withdraw. And slowly I started to slip into a real dark place, where eventually this led to a full-blown existential / emotional breakdown. It was around this sort of really dark time, this dark period, I remembered something. I remembered one phrase that I was taught when I was going through my 3 years of counselling training and as a therapist. If you can spot it, you've got it. And it sent my head into a spin. I started to question myself. I started to question, hang on a minute. Was I the asshole? Was it me all along? And I started tracing it back, thinking everyone I've lived with, all of the issues that I supposedly had with everyone I've ever lived with. I mean, sure, there'll be some things that they do, but the issues that I had, were they coming from within me? So in order to deal with this, in order to overcome this problem, in order to rid myself of all these judgments and this emotional baggage, I decided to truly investigate that question. So what I decided to do, was although it was really difficult to do this, it was really tough, it was really challenging, I decided to take all of the things that I thought that were a problem, were a character flaw in Jonas, all the things that I seemingly didn't like about Ryan, and I wrote them all down. And then what I decided to do was to look for times when I was like that. The following week, I was seeing evidence of it everywhere. I was leaving plates out. I was doing this all along, but I didn't realize it. I was leaving plates out. I was being a bit messy. I wasn't truly listening to people when they spoke to me. It had become clear to me through doing this that there were things about myself that I didn't like. I didn't want to accept. And rather than deal with them directly, it was much easier to just project them out into the world, onto them. Now, I'm not an expert on this kind of work, but I know that in psychotherapy, in psychology, they call this projection. Projection is where we take something that's going on within us and we project it out into the world, and we attribute something going on within us as being something that's inherent out there. So now that I had listed all of the things I supposedly didn't like about Jonas and Ryan, now that I had found sources and evidence for me doing all of the things, the hypocrisy, the things that I didn't like about them, I was doing all of them, or most of them at the very least, what did I do then? I decided to take those things that I supposedly didn't like about myself, and I decided to just show them some love and some acceptance. When I started to do this, not only did I feel more compassionate and empathic towards myself, but I also started to feel far more forgiving and tolerant and compassionate towards Ryan and Jonas for whatever imperfections are in their character. It's like, it's in me too. I'm like, yeah, I do that. We're all human, man. We all do this. If you're finding yourself in this situation where you're living with people and you've got the day-to-day stuff like the laundry and the cleaning, etc., that's just another issue. But if you're starting to find, as I'm sure a lot of people are right now in this situation, that you're starting to truly dislike the people around you, or you're starting to be far more emotionally triggered, or have emotional issues or conflicts far more than you ever did before, then what I'm suggesting is what I've talked about in this video. Step 1, list all of the things about these individuals that seemingly really bothers you. Step 2, sit down and find evidence, situations, times when you've been those things. And you'll be shocked to find that the things that you judge about other people are actually things that you judge about yourself. And step 3, take those things and work on coming to a place of acceptance. Now I can safely say that living with Jonas, living with Ryan is an absolute pleasure. And does that mean that their apartment is tidy all the time? Absolutely not. But what it does mean is the imperfections I see in these two gentlemen reflect just imperfect, flawed human beings. And I'm one of those too. So this has been Ollie from Icario, and I hope this has helped you. Good luck.